The iPad Pro, possibly one of the best pieces of tech I've ever had the pleasure to use, but also one of the most frustrating and confusing in my entire time in tech. Let's get into it. Okay, so the iPad Pro, a powerful, capable marvel of Apple tech. When Steve Jobs first announced the iPad back in January 27th of 2010, over 10 years ago, I think this is the device he would have wanted to come out of that vision. I think, yeah, it's pretty damn good. The Pro 120Hz display is a thing of beauty to use and really is a different way to consume and create. With a crazy quick response time to Apple Pencil and Apple Pencil alternatives, 600 nits of brightness and a completely bezel-less design. I mean, this thing really is it's just gorgeous. Like, oh, it's just amazing. The A12Z chip is as powerful as anything I have used in a device that I can throw in my bag and use on the couch, in the bed, and kind of anywhere you can imagine using this. Taking the iPad Pro on journeys away and being able to edit through Lightroom and my raw Sony files really was an absolute pleasure. One where I truly saw the unity of USB-C for the first real time. With all this power as well, Apple have done an amazing job of making sure that the battery life lasts as well. And in the 2 weeks that I have had it, I only had to charge it a handful of times. It actually charges pretty quickly and it lasts an entire day, even if you're using it like all day. My kind of main things that I've been using it for are kind of editing and photographs and browsing the internet, a little bit of gaming and just kind of general just using an iPad. Something I'm sure they are wanting to replicate on the new ARM computers coming out in the future is just this incredible balance of power and battery life. And with great power comes great... oh no, wait, that's Spider-Man iPads. Another area that the iPad Pro excelled in as well is how to handle this power. This is a device, while a MacBook Pro runs quite hot and then the fan's kicking under pressure, this gets on like the job, like a certain prince, without a sweat. That's a risky joke. Something that really impressed me, and I don't really think gets mentioned enough, is the incredible power that you get without any fans. Okay, so I paired my 11-inch iPad Pro 256 gig 2nd gen with the Folio case. Not the YouTuber friendly Magic keyboard, as I was aiming to test this against the MacBook Pro 13-inch for my student versus off, and I kind of wanted to make sure that that was priced as reasonably as possible, and the Folio case, as expensive as it is, was still a bit more reasonable than the £350 Magic keyboard. Typing on this was quite nice. I would say it's not as nice as a full keyboard, you just don't have the surface area. But I was still happy to type on this for extended periods of time, and my partner Katie, she kind of thought that it sounded quite loud, but I guess, what do you think? Yet, with all of the incredible things that the iPad Pro does, iOS and part iPad OS is still for me the reason I can't replace this as my full computer. Right, so let's talk Pro apps. So I am someone who uses a hybrid camera, the Sony a7 III, and I love to use my computer to edit and create photography as well as video content. This is what I search for in a computer. as well as being able to do everyday tasks like just surfing the internet and kind of just general YouTubing and browsing. For a lot of people, I know music creation is another huge reason to buy a creative computer and why so many of my friends have bought Macs in the past. Apple have come out hitting hard on the hardware of this iPad Pro and the generation before it, to be honest. And with so many reviewers and content creators saying the same thing, and that this is one of the most impressive hardware devices that they have ever used. And I would say I'm the same. But also, behind the scenes, these people have still got Macs or PCs. And after using this iPad for a couple of weeks, as boring as this is, I'm in the same boat. For photography editing, I actually think the iPad Pro is possibly the best device I've ever used. The incredible, I genuinely can't stress enough how incredible this display is. And you've seen your images like never before. The only device I would say that has come close is probably the 5K iMac that I recently reviewed. Pair this though, then with an Apple Pencil or the Logitech Crayon that I had, and you feel really connected to your work. It's almost, I would say, kind of like creating art instead of just editing photographs, honestly. But that is because Adobe have made an incredible and fantastic app, in my opinion, in Lightroom Creative Cloud. From direct USB-C import from your camera, if it supports it, cloud storage and pro level ability. And yeah, it pretty much is on par, I think, with Lightroom Classic. I really think they have done a great job. But this is where Apple, for me, have dropped the ball for pro users. I'm going to skew this where I know, and that is on things like Final Cut. But you have Logic, After Effects, DaVinci. Whatever you use for video and music and other creative works, well, you're done. The thing is, I totally get it. Apple with this machine don't want to kill the iMac and the MacBook Pro market, but I don't think they would have done. But what they have done is not made this the computer replacement that Steve Jobs once envisaged. For your everyday tasks, yes, the iPad Pro is a real computer replacement with a much better app catalogue, better devices, a better display, better battery life, and this is probably the best way to consume media on an electronic good. But the iPad Regular, which I reviewed earlier this year, can pretty much almost do the same thing, but without the beautiful display and design. So why the Pro? Why the Pro without the support for Pro apps? I would never see this as a replacement for an iMac, for a 16-inch MacBook Pro, for your larger projects. I think having the larger real estate of a display and dedicated graphics card is probably still going to skew people towards those Pro machines. But this could have been the best Pro companion app of all time. Imagine being able to, in a post-COVID world, doing vlogs, events, shoots, very quick turnaround time projects, and being able to import straight into the iPad Pro, put it into Final Cut, and then being able to export it. Or kind of being on the run and going away, coming back and importing that into your Mac to finish as a larger project. Very similar to how Lightroom and Creative Cloud works. Or, I have no idea as I've never done it, but if you head into a music session and record on Logic on your iPad Pro and then master it on your iMac, or if you just want to be able to carry something that's lighter, record on it, bring it back to your MacBook. At this price, it could also be a great way for younger or more budget content creators to get into the game. It could be an amazing device to then maybe go up into the world and spend £2,000 on a Mac later down the line. And the reason I say this is every YouTube video I have seen thus far is a workaround on the iPad Pro. A not so good, slightly harder, not as clever way of doing the same thing on a Mac. Video editing is as powerful but nowhere near as versatile. It just seems clunky. The iPad Pro right now, for me, is a nice to have device, not a need device. In the world of tech, it is the device every big YouTuber has, but also they have the resources to be able to have that. Obviously, it's their job. Would I love to have this as my everyday carry and device that I use most days? Hell yeah. But if you said to me right now, if I had the iPad Pro or my MacBook Pro as a computer, well, my MacBook Pro is still winning every day. Apple, the ball is in your court. Let's hope you hit that ace one day. Wow, it's very dramatic. If you have enjoyed my review of the iPad Pro, if you thought my thoughts were right, hit a like, hit a dislike, it is your choice. And I really hope if you enjoyed the video that you might subscribe to see more soon. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.